So switching topics onto motorcycles, one of the things I did today that I've been meaning to do all break is get the tyres mounted for the Velocette. The wheels, the paint's had a long time to dry, should be nice and solid now. And the wheels, the tyres rather, I left them sitting in the back of the Land Rover and was waiting for a really nice hot day like today so that they'd get nice and soft. And that seemed to work well. The other thing I did was I bought the smallest container I could find of tyre mounting paste. So that's a 3 kg container, and that's basically a lifetime supply for me. But it worked really well. It's kind of soapy, waxy type stuff, but it dries up. So yeah, no drama really fitting the tyres. The hardest part was getting the inner tube stem through the rim, because you put the tyre half on and then you feed the inner tube in, and then you have to get the stem through, and there's just not a lot of space to get your fingers in there to poke it through. Once I'd done that, it was pretty easy. I just used a couple of motorcycle tyre irons. Yeah, not a problem at all. So they're both pumped up to, I think, about 30 psi, just to see if they still hold air. I haven't accidentally punctured the tubes or anything silly, so that was good to get that done. Yeah, the pile of parts, I haven't done anything else on this. I need to think about what I'm going to do with the crank. So this has been sitting here a while now, and any oil that was in it has drained out. And I'm pretty sure there is, oh yeah, you can see it. Whoops. There is wear in the big ends. So I need to decide how I'm going to take care of that. I guess you have to take this apart and rebush them. Not sure how big a job that is. I'll have to look in the forums. I still need to put the bearings back in the wheels. They're good to reuse. I'll repack those with grease. And I've been working on, still need to finish off these sort of bits. It's still a bit rough. It's going to need filler. There's no way of getting around that. I'm not good enough, and it's got enough damage that it'd be pretty hard to repair it otherwise. But I'm trying to fix this tail. So I've started making a piece there for it. It's actually 2 pieces welded together, which is how the factory did it. I tried to replicate that factory edge. It's just kind of welded together, which was good practice, because that's what I'm going to have to do for the petrol tank on the Riley. The edges will all be welded like that. So to make this piece, it's a bit tricky because it's got 2 curves in it. So you can see it's got a little kick that way, but it also curves that way. So I made it in 2 halves. I put the curve in it this direction first as a flat piece, and then I folded up this flange. To make that easier, I use my bead roller with a sort of homemade, it's not quite a tipping die. I use this, it's just a piece of mild steel. It's a bit from the middle of a hole saw, from a hole I cut out. And I use that to sort of score the metal, and it gives me a little line. And then I can basically break the edge along that line really easily. I just used some pliers just to bend up that flange, and then just simple hammer and dolly work. Got a selection of metal things I hammer around to bend that up 90 degrees. I think I lost a little bit of the curve doing that. I've modeled it on the rear of the front. You can see there's a little bit of a kick. And mine, this doesn't have quite as much, which is unfortunate, but it's not straight. So I think that'll be okay. And then once you've put that curve in it, you can then put the curve in the other direction. And I'm still sort of working on that, trying to get it to look right. It's kind of a weird shape. You can see there it's not quite right. So I've done a little bit of work on the wheeling machine just to smooth off those curves a little bit with the hammer and dolly. This shoe last thing works really well for this. It's got some interesting curves on it that work quite well for trying to get this into the right shape. And it's getting close. The problem is I don't know how far down it needs to come. I need to look at my photos, or else visit Southwards again and have a look at the bike they've got there and measure it. So I've left this oversize, and I can't easily hold it up against it because it's got this wrapped around 90 degree. The front has that as well, but that finishes, and then it's just a straight edge for the back of the guard. So So this will need to be trimmed somewhere. I don't know where. Don't know how far down it comes. But that'll at least make that look a lot better. It doesn't have to be exactly correct because nobody's going to notice unless you park it right next to another one. Even then, I don't think anyone would notice. You'd have to measure them probably. You know, if I'm within half an inch, probably. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I need to put some oil or something on this so it doesn't rust by the time I get back to it. The front guard, I still need to finish stripping all the paint off that. But you can see how this factory weld is similar. It's just sort of an edge weld. And it's not perfect. I mean, it's, you know, I can feel there. It's more open there. It's a bit hard to see because it's still got old paint on it. But it's a little bit of progress on the bike anyway. It hasn't completely stalled. And I think that's about it for my holiday, unfortunately. So back to work tomorrow. Oh, and just in case anybody asks, the tyres I'm using are tyres, and they are H01. So somewhere, and they are 3" by 19s. I was just able to order those locally in New Zealand, and they shipped them straight to me. You basically order them direct from MyTass and they deliver them, which was excellent.